Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sitting down with Stephen, former British Army?
British Army.
British Army?
Royal Artillery.
Royal Artillery. So, I'm going to go back a bit. Where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
My word.
Yeah. Promise this isn't a Freudian thing.
You were speaking to a trained counsellor, so yeah, that was an integrated counsellor. I did that just recently. My God, West Country boy. This isn't my hometown at all. I'm a West Country boy, born and bred. Joined the army when I was 16 and 1 month. May the 28th was my birthday. June the 28th I joined the army. Did a year's training in Bramcote in Nuneaton, and then went on to my regiment. Did 12 years in the artillery, went to the first Gulf War, and...
What was that like, first Gulf War? That was Saddam Hussein, was it?
That was Saddam Hussein. That was, you see, that was really weird because I was so young then. I was so young then, and I look back at myself, to that time, and it's just a completely different person. Gung ho, you're invincible.
All the balls in the world, yeah.
You've got bollocks and then some, but it's contagious. It's all of you. You've all got that bollocks.
So would you say you've all got the bollocks and then it's like a pack mentality as well?
Oh, absolutely.
So you all feed off each other, I guess.
Absolutely. I've got to put in the bit about before we left, because that was mayhem. You get put down sort of like, 6 weeks to leave or whatever like that, and then, we come up and then we come down to sort of like 4 weeks to leave or 3 weeks before we had to leave. And it came down to 3 weeks to leave, and I think we were allowed to go home for Christmas. Home for Christmas. And my mum and dad are split up, so I spent half and half. And I got to my mother, spent a few days at my dad's, but I wanted to go back to my mum's in Minehead in Somerset, where I grew up, and to spend it with the lads, and that was mayhem. That was mayhem there, but even funnier, when we were back, we were given a week, then we were down to a week to leave, so all your kit's packed, you're ready to go, and when you're on a week to leave, it's bedlam. I've never known anything like it, but guys have done this before when they've gone to Northern Ireland, previously the Falklands, because I joined in 1988, so it wasn't far away from, so these guys, this is what they used to do. So I'm just joining in with the crew. So we're gone a week, you get a week's notice to leave, and everything in camp sort of stops. All your work stops in effect, and all you have to do is turn up at 9 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and 4 o'clock in the evening, just to show you're on parade.
Right.
Where we spent a week of getting absolutely demolished. We all went to skin and everything. So yeah, that was. I just wanted to put that in because
just for those who don't get that, can you just explain what that means?
Literally, we got up in the morning, and this is right. I'll give you my routine. This is my week before we left. I got up in the morning. I used to drink German brandy, Asbach brandy. So I'd have a litre of Asbach brandy. I'd drink that in my green mug before breakfast. We were all doing it. We'd all go on parade, then we'd all get taxis straight downtown, straight into the pubs, taxis back, then on parade again, so you're a bit wobbly like this by now. Taxis used to wait for us, then we used to go straight back downtown again, come back at 4 o'clock. Anyway, that was like 4 or 5 days of just, they let us just go for it, and then it was like, right, tie everything in. Then we got, the flight and everything, then it was like, switch on then, it was proper switch on then. Load everything up, then you load everything up, and off you go to Bryce Norton. That was really interesting because one of my first ever girlfriends back in Somerset, I was sat in the departure lounge. I wish I'd known. I could have got some of the pictures out. I could have got some sent down from my mum actually, but I was in the departure lounge with my friends, just talking away.
Yep.
And I heard this woman's voice shout my name, Stephen. And I was like, what the fucking hell was that? And so I turned around and looked. It was my first love. Strangely enough, I knew she was in the army. I knew she was joining the army.
Did you join up together? Or?
No. She was a couple of years older than me, but her dad had joined the army. She was a proper tomboy, she was. And she joined the army, was sort of following the steps of her father. So So that was really nice. We had that sort of like thing there, and I still speak to her now, however many years it is later, and we still talk about that little thing. There was that little thing that we had there. It was so nice because I'd never been on an aeroplane before, let alone, this was my first proper deployment going anywhere, and I'm stood looking at this Boeing 747 thinking, here we go. Get on an aeroplane, there's no in-flight entertainment or anything, just 9 hours of the world map and this little green dot every now and again going across. It was more torture than anything until you get to your thing. Then you land, and then it's whatever was happening at the time, so we had to get our NBC masks on straight away as soon as we got there. And then,
just for those that don't know,
NBC, nuclear, chemical, biological mask. It's your respirator. It's what keeps you alive. It's, if we have a chemical, biological, or nuclear attack, it's, what's going to stop. It's going to make you breathe properly. So yeah, we had to stick those on straight away, and then the doors came open, and it was the heat. Really, you just feel the heat. Really, taken off the plane, blah blah blah, and what I thought was cute out there, if you can call it cute, like the Americans had Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3, Camp 4, and Camp 5. Camp 5 was, if I'm right, was the R&R camp, whatever the other camps were. And we had Camp Blackadder and Camp Baldrick.
Fantastic.
which was
that is
perfect,
amazing.
Which was perfect for us. And we spent a few days there. When I spent a few days there, well, a week or so, a couple of weeks maybe, something like that. Acclimatizing, that's in your full NBC kit, which is your clothes and this charcoal suit on top in, I don't know what, 35 odd degrees, something like that, playing football to acclimatize yourself. You were dropping all over the place.
Yeah,
it was
not
ridiculous. Then we had to get all of our jabs. That was a fucking mental one. That was getting your jabs. You walked into these tents, and literally you walked into this tent, and they jabbed you, and I don't know how many you had, like 5 or 6 different jabs. Seriously, you had 5 or 6 different jabs, and you came out the other end, and honest to God, my head had gone. My head was absolutely gone. I've never known anything like it in my life. So much so, for a soldier to lose his weapon is not on. Do you know what I mean? But I put my weapon down, and I'd gone through the thing, and I put my weapon down again at the end because it was fucking hurting or whatever it was, and then I spun out. Next thing I know, I'm walking around outside with no weapon, and I'm being shouted at because I've got no weapon. And I've just come around and think, what the fuck's going on here? So I grabbed my gat, and then after that we'd spent, I don't know how long there acclimatizing, and then we were called forward to get to our to go to our wagons that were all sent out that are waiting for us. Our guys had trained on the AS90. We'd had the M109. That's chucks, 110-pound shell, 105mm. It'll chuck it sort of 25 miles, something like that, with a pretty decent, in peacetime it has a killing distance of 900 meters. So if we're firing it in peacetime, we can't have any troops within 900 meters of that round going off, because there's a chance they might get killed. If there is, it's what's called a danger close mission, but that's something else. So yeah, the guys that in the artillery, the gun guys, they trained on the AS90. Was a new bit of kit. Or no, it wasn't. I'm lying. We didn't have the AS90. I'm sorry, I'm getting confused there. No, we had the FH70 because we were a field gun regiment, and we went to Larkhill, and the guys trained on the M109. What was different for us is we had the Warrior for the first time, and it was the first time it was going to be used. It was the first time that it was going to be used in an OP style for artillery. So whereas all the other all the other Warriors would have, proper cannon on theirs. Ours wasn't.
Right.
Ours wasn't. But what we had is basically we pointed the barrel at whatever the target was we needed to bring artillery down on. You press a button, you get a grid altitude and direction within 1 square meter of where you've just fired that laser, and then you just give that back, and then the rest just
just does what it does. Yeah.
Yeah, the rest just
So,
sort of happens.
Just to pause that there for a minute. What inspired you to join the army in the first place? Is it a family thing, or is it just something you always wanted to do, or was it just like, oh, go on?
See, I can say this with authority now because I retrained as a counsellor, and I came from a broken home.
Okay.
Mum and Dad split up when I was really, really young. I went to 18 schools.
Right.
3 schools I went to twice, and 1 school I went to 3 times.
Do you think that influenced your decision then?
Yeah, absolutely. Because years later, when I do my degree as a counsellor, the reason I wanted to join the army, it was the family that I never had.
Right.
You know, and it was the family I never had.
Like we said earlier, you've got that sort of pack mentality where you're all there for each other, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bit like where we live here now. You know, we're not all the same. We're not all artillery or anything. We're not all, you know, we're all different regiments, but we've got that. You know, we're all military.
No, I understood that. So, you've said about the wearing the suit to acclimatise. What about mentally? How difficult was it being in a war, So not the physical side this time, more like, or is it just that you've got your squad with you and you've always got someone to bounce off of?
What's that back then?
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're in an OP crew, sort of the airs and graces go out of the, you know, because you've got an officer that's in charge. Around everyone else, you call him sir. But when you're in your OP crew, because he was the captain of he was the manager of the regimental football team back in the time, Bobby Robson was an England manager, so his nickname was Bobby.
Right.
So that's what we used to call him. So, you know, you get that real closeness. You get that real sort of closeness you do between them. So, yeah, once you're away from everybody else, you know, the rest of the battery, because all the other, you know, because there isn't many OPs. There's maybe 12 OPs, 2 different OP crews, 6 or 8 on each crew, and then you've got maybe 100 on, you know, that deal with the guns and stuff like that. So you get sort of, you know, really entwined with your own sort of OP crew, because whenever you go on exercise, you're not with everybody, you're just with you and your guys.
Got you.
And that's you, and you go, you know, you'll go on exercise. We've been to Canada, you go on a 3-week exercise or a week's exercise in Canada, and that's just you and your guys, you know what I mean? You know?
So you've been to Iraq during the first
Gulf War.
First Gulf War, thank you. And that was Saddam. Where else have you been?
I was quite lucky that I didn't go to Northern Ireland. My brother went to Northern Ireland, and I lost my brother as well.
In Northern Ireland?
As a result of Northern Ireland. He was on patrol. He was out when the Warrington bombing happened and the little boy got killed.
Yeah.
And my brother was on the streets that day, and his particular brick, or that's what it's called, got attacked. He got pulled out of there. That hit him quite hard, and then they took him off the streets, they put him into the search teams with the Royal Engineers, going into known people's houses and quite literally tearing their houses apart, looking for anything to do with terrorism. Yeah, basically.
I'm sorry.
And you can imagine being in a house and having everybody screaming at you. You know, that didn't go very well. He came home on leave. You get a sort of a week's leave halfway through your 6-month tour.
Right.
He came on a week's leave. I made sure I'd got home to see him, and I'd lost my brother, gone. So I'm going to cry now. Yeah, I'd lost my brother.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh, he was gone. And it's the.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm right. But he was gone. He was gone. Our little town. My stepdad was the local solicitor, so sort of everybody knew us, sort of thing. And I'd met him, and I could tell that he wasn't right, but it wasn't until we actually gone out and he had a couple of beers.
Yeah.
And we were on our way back home, and that's when I realised that he was gone. You know, he was still in Belfast. He was still under attack in Belfast. It was horrible. We had loads of police around, and luckily my stepdad, because he knows all the police, you know, nothing was done, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that was horrible. They sent him back to Germany, and in effect just forgot about him. He had to because his head had gone, he'd then thumb a lift back from Germany, got to Calais, and the French weren't going to let him across on the ferries, so he just sat down and said, fine, I'll sit here and die. So they put him into a pretty bad car with any person, got across. By this time, I've had the military police onto me, and because he's now AWOL, we don't know what's going on. We don't know anything that's going on. We just know that my brother and the son that we've just seen has now gone back to Germany and now disappeared. He eventually turned up. And that was his downfall. It was just plenty of years of going down then, and that really disrupted my army career. That left me not knowing. That left me really questioning what the hell was going on. You know, where do I stand in this world? Because I was so young. I was so young when I joined, and as you get older, things happen. You become experienced, and you just grow up a bit, and you form your own opinions and things like that. And
of course. So where else did you go personally? Is there anywhere else?
Really, all the way. I've been all over the world, but no other active zones.
All right. So, do you have a story from when you were in service that sticks with you? Something funnier maybe to lighten the mood after the story we've just had?
Oh my God! Oh yeah, I got loads of funny stories. There's a hilarious one. There used to be these devices used to suck in the air. And if it sucked in something it didn't recognise, it used to send off the NBC alarms. So then I would just send everybody into blind panic to grab your NBC helmet. You have to get your mask on within 9, get it done, this, that and the other. We had a guy that was on our wagon. I shouldn't say, it's not funny at all.
Don't name him then.
I'm not going to name him at all. Lofty knows who he is. But he got his respirator on, and he's getting his trousers on, and everybody was doing it on the floor where you should have done it, but no, he thought it was a good idea to do it on the Warrior. So the trousers have a really, really long piece of string that you pull round there. You're right there. So he's pulled one on like pulled the other one on like that, and then he's tripped. The string's gone round the smoke discharger, so he sort of just pendulumed off the Warrior like that into the tracks.
Oh dear. Was he all right?
No. Well, no, he had no choice. He was our driver. He had no choice. He was getting back in. He had no choice. It was all smashed up. Go and see the medics came round, so there was nothing you could do. But we had another guy, actually, Grey Trex. He was only 17. He shouldn't even been there. You get these combo pens, anaphylactic shock pens.
Yeah.
You get 5 of them, you stick them in your respirators, and you ask any soldier. Well, back when we had weapon, it's different. But back then we had sort of old traditional weapon, and you always sit on your weapon. And he put his combo pens to fire up instead of putting them down where you should have had them. So he's going to sat down on his weapon. Every single one of those combo pens went up his arse, and it just sent him out. He thought it was Christmas, and you'd never seen anything like it in your life. So he didn't actually go any further. He didn't. So yeah, but I think one of my saddest times is probably leaving.
I was just going to say, the next question actually was, what was the transition like?
Terrible.
Going? Yeah.
Terrible.
What did you do when you came out?
My God. It's probably easy to say what I haven't done.
You done a lot of different jobs?
Oh, untold.
You mentioned earlier you're now a qualified counsellor as well.
Qualified counsellor. I'm a carpenter at the moment.
Right.
I was a London bus driver. I had my own fish shop. I had my own fish round that I bought, funnily enough, off my old captain in cadets, which is a really sort of strange thing. You know, I used to go to cadets and he was my captain, and then years and years later, I bought his fish round off of him for where we were, which was quite, you know, funny.
So just for the international audience, what's a fish round? Because not everyone's going to know.
Right, I come from the countryside, and you don't get that many fish shops. So what you do is you get a fish van, and you fill it up with fish with lots of ice and air conditioning. You drive around the countryside. It's the best job I actually had. I loved it. You know, 4 days a week driving around the countryside selling fish. What more could you want? And then Tesco's opened.
Bye-bye fish round.
Bye-bye fish round.
Right.
Minehead never had anything like that. We didn't have Tesco. Tesco's was the first sort of superstore to open.
So, sticking on veterans, I guess, because that's what we're talking about.
We were talking about transition, wasn't it? Yeah, it's a pretty bad transition, it was.
Do you think all veterans suffer when they come out?
That's really, really interesting, because it's only, I left, you know, 20 odd years ago, 25, 26 years ago. And why is it now, in the last 4 years for me specifically, why is what happened to me only catching up now? I've got a friend not saying anything 3 or 4 doors down, a couple of tours of Afghanistan. Nothing again, but 4 years ago, loses his wife, kids, he's just, you know, completely shot. He's getting it back together now, but completely gone.
So what is it that's catching up to you?
It's, you know, the statistics are, they say, you know, it takes average sort of 7 years, you know, for veterans to, you know, to sort of get that they've got post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
For me personally, I was absolutely flabbergasted 3 years or 4 years ago when I got my diagnosis, because I'd been a counsellor for 3 years. And how on earth could I see it? My brother, with what my brother went through, how on earth could I have not seen it? Which is, you know, I struggle a little bit myself with that, but, you know, it is what it is. You know, now I've accepted it, and now we, you know, we can work with it.
Was that from the first Gulf, or would you say it's from that? Yeah.
Okay. First Gulf War.
So given that, the PTSD that was mentioned there, and as you say, you know others that are going through that, what is it that frustrates you about how our veterans are treated in the UK at the moment?
The veterans at the moment are treated fantastically.
By the government?
They're treated. I'm comparing to what we used to have.
Okay.
I'm comparing to what we used to have. There was absolutely nothing before. When I retrained to do my counselling course, I used to spend it was so hard to try and earn money out of that, because we weren't that far out of Afghanistan finishing, and so there wasn't. Help for Heroes were great because at the time they were doing all the physical, and it was remember, everybody remembers the hype about Help for Heroes. It was fantastic. I, on the other hand, could see what was coming down the road, because I was already trained as a counsellor, and I'd already gone through what my brother, not just my brother, but my whole family had gone through, and I could see what was coming down the road. So I started ringing people like Help for Heroes and saying, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking for funding as a counsellor, you know, because ex-military, blah, 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 this is what's happening. And I'll never forget what the woman said to me. And and it was near, and to be honest, that was the sort of the final straw in the final straw that broke the camel's back for me, for working in that industry. Because you've got to remember, I've got a wife and 2 children to look after as well. And if I'm not working, where am I getting the money from? So, it got to the point where I spoke to Hope for Heroes, and going back, it's still flabbergasted me what she said. She said, we don't need any more talking therapy counsellors around the country,
Really?
because we've got them stationed around the country already. I said, oh really? Oh, I didn't know. I said, oh brilliant. I said, I'm sorry then. Where are they? Who are they? Because I want to go and offer my help, for crying out loud. She said, yes, we've got a call centre in Plymouth that takes a few calls, a call centre somewhere else, and a call centre somewhere else. I went, so that's your provision.
So the provision is essentially a 111 service. What's now a 111
Well, it's just a phone call.
Yeah.
That's all it was. I said, that's your provision. I said, can't you see what's coming down the road? I said, I appreciate what you're doing now. It's fabulous what you're doing now because of the hype. It was great. It was fantastic. Look at what they're doing now. Go and have a look at what how the Healthy Heroes are doing right now.
I don't hear them championing much at all, actually. The hype seems to have died down as of late.
It's, we all heard about, whether it's rumour, truth, there's no smoke without fire, but, I think what sticks in my throat a lot about that is what the owners of the charity sort of took away from it. I remember now, there's something in the back of my head with that, whether that fueled my disappointment even more when I'd actually spoken to them, because I'd already known about the background. Everybody knew about the background at the time of what they were doing and this, that and the other. Well, they made a lot of money and let's face it, they're doing all right now, let's face it. They don't need to worry now.
No, appreciate that.
We don't need to.
So do you think the public really has a grasp, a handle on the sacrifices that soldiers make?
No chance. No chance. Look at the way we're treated.
Elaborate.
Look at the way that we're treated.
Elaborate on that. How are you treated?
Right. Look at Americans. It's nice now. Although it feels really weird. It feels really weird that you get people coming up and saying, thank you for your service. This is only in the last few years.
I think I said that to you.
Yeah. Well. But I'm not. But it feels weird for me because I've always heard the American public say it to the Americans. So we're just sort of picking it up now. It just feels like
maybe we're a bit downstream from there.
Yeah, which is fair enough. Which is fair enough. Which is nice. But there's the Veterans Days. There's this days for their veterans. They've got a massive thing. To help the disabled veterans and over there. I
think Trump's very pro-veteran as well, isn't he?
Look at them. Look. You see them everywhere. What do we get now? No offence. I saw Troop in the Colour just recently.
Yeah.
Go and look at Troop in the Colour 30, 40 years ago.
No.
There's thousands of troops on parade. I'm looking at it going, well, that's like my regiment on its own. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what's going on there? We had the fly past. What was important? Fly past. And there was no Spitfires that came down just recently as well.
Can't afford it, apparently, it said on the news. Can't afford the Spitfires.
Really? Boats? Do we go down that road already?
Later. So, since you came back from active service, what changes have you seen in the UK?
Oh God!
How is it different? Obviously, what I'm getting at is it like you left a movie playing, and when you come back, it's like midway through. Is it kind of like that, or?
Yeah, it's like when I came back from the first Gulf War, and after that, all the way up to sort of like the second Gulf War and stuff, that whole period just seemed a bit bedlamy, because we had the Twin Towers come down as well. There was all that as well. That was all a bit bedlamy. There was, and then we had our own 9/11 as well. The tube bombings and stuff like that.
And there was a bus as well. Wasn't
The bus outside the medical centre. Lucky they were having a conference there that day, weren't they? It just seems all a bit mayhem and for me, and I'm really, really sorry, but I lived in London for quite a few years, and we left London because of our children, really, because there was no way. We were living in Hackney. We had quite a nice place in Hackney, and strangely enough, married to a Filipino woman in Hackney, Only place we got racially abused.
Really? Was
In
Hackney?
Was in Hackney. Would you believe it? In all the places me and my wife have been, where we lived, we got racially abused in Hackney. Yeah, they didn't like an Asian girl going out with a white boy, probably. I don't know what it was, but yeah.
That's mental.
I know. Tell me about it. You tell me about it.
I just think that's a
You
bit
should have been
mental.
stood there with me and my wife, with our children, mixed race children as well. But that was the funny one. Yeah, and we had to go down. So we left there. We've been here sort of 14 years. So we left there sort of 14 or 15 years ago. We had to go down recently to get some passports sorted out because my wife's from the Philippines.
What?
I thought I'd landed in a different country.
What do you mean by that?
The demographic is changed so much. The demographic in London has changed completely.
So where you were in Hackney before,
Right,
what was the demographic?
I used to work in the city, in
Right.
Liverpool Street, for years. I used to run it was great working in a pub back in the day in there, because the pub was only open 5 days a week, because everyone in the city used to go away at the weekend. So that was my sort of stomping, and the West End. I ran pubs in the West End as well, restaurants in the West End as well, and bits and pieces. So I was in and about it all the time, and then you feel, you get a buzz for the place, you feel, you feel.
Well, like a belonging?
Yeah, like, you get a buzz. It's not bad, it's a buzz like, yes, it's funky, you're involved, there's, blah, blah, it's great, we had it was great, it was a vibe, it was alive, you know what I mean? It was, it's something you'd want to go out and get and touch and feel every night, it's fantastic. We, when I did my, I did my carpentry course sort of 10 years ago, and we stayed in Ilford. And we went into town, and it felt very different then. And then again this year, only a couple of months ago, we went down again, went to my old stomping ground, brilliant, Liverpool Street. I was like, brilliant. We could go to Liverpool Street, I can wander down to Fish Street Hill, down to my old pub, have a look, see what's going on, past the Lloyd's building, all this, that and the other, all my old stomping ground.
Memories.
Memories. That wasn't too bad until we got into town to go to the Philippine Embassy, which is basically in Trafalgar Square, not far from Trafalgar Square. It just felt dangerous.
Why did it feel dangerous?
London felt dangerous. London felt strange. London felt alien. London really, really felt alien.
What gave you the vibe that it was dangerous and alien?
It's like you could just tell. Like I was saying, before I had this, go lucky, we can do anything, go anywhere, have fun. Me and the wife, we used to love it. We used to love, especially when I had our first daughter. We had one of those expensive baby, bush baby carriers.
Right.
Throw her in the back there, and we used to go all over London. Everywhere in London, we used to love going to the Shepherd's Bush shopping arcade that opened up at the time. The famous one, can't remember the name now. But when that first opened, we used to love going there. It was great and that. My God, the vibe is completely different. You could walk around with your phone in your hand, but now, people are saying to you, don't do that in London.
No.
You see it. I'm not stupid. I watch the fucking news. Christ almighty, I watched a YouTube video of this guy yesterday, a parkour guy in London, no word of a lie, 15 minutes, he had like 10 grand's worth of phones and a $2,000 bike that he stole. He was great, he was literally running like across railings, and people like sat, there was this small brick sort of wall, and there was about 6 people all spaced out on their phones, yeah? He ran past every single one and got every single phone. Bang, 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 bang. And I'll be like, what? For me, we had Red Bull come to my pub years ago and do a promotion. And they left their Red Bull scooters, electric scooters.
Yeah.
We used to burn all over London and have fun in those. No, you couldn't do that now. You cannot do that now. The vibe is different. Their vibe is different in London. Central London, I'm not going back there.
So, do you think that the immigration question essentially is what's affected the British culture in London?
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to bring it.
We're not going to blame immigration because obviously, like your wife's, you said you're married to a Filipino
My
woman.
my first wife was from Trinidad. She's black from Trinidad.
Right.
You know, she used to work for, I won't give the name, but what she used to do every single week, she used to work for this particular security firm when Afghan was going all mental. She used to work for this particular security firm. Every week she used to have to go into central London. She'd have 2 ex-special forces guys with her. She'd take out between $250,000 and $500,000 cash, given to those guys, and they'd be on the first aeroplane out to Afghan or Iraq or whatever to start paying off like that. You know, that was my first wife. And I'll top it off. This is the best bit. She was, dare I say it? Sorry, Mum. She was the management accountant for the Crown Estates. She was the Queen's accountant.
Right.
That was my first wife. Yeah. My second wife, I've got 2 children with. Been with, nearly 20 years. You know, she's not from this country either. So I love when people like to throw the race card at me because I have got an absolute belter, because I haven't been out with a white English girl since 1991.
Right.
And I know that. And I'm sorry, Sue, you were the last one.
So we're not going to blame immigration as a whole, but the demographic, as you said, in London has changed, and it's affected British culture to the point that London is now unsafe. Is that fair?
Absolutely. London. How London? Look at the statistics. I think there's one school in one borough, in Brent, I think it is, or I can't remember what it is. There's one school in one borough. Yeah.
I'm sure someone will fact check it if it's wrong.
Well, fine. But it begins with B, the borough, and there's one school, or it's the borough itself, yeah, that have majority white kids in that school.
Just one.
You know, it's either the school or the borough.
Yeah.
You know, as a whole has majority there. The rest of every borough in London doesn't.
Right. Okay. So, sticking with that theme of immigration and things like that, obviously, we met when you attended a protest in Norwich for what they call a migrant hotel. It's a hotel housing illegal migrants. I think the local press are trying to call them asylum seekers, even though they came across the channel in a dinghy. So
they're illegal. They're illegal immigrants.
So
they're not refugees. How can you call them refugees? Look at them.
Well, unless France is in a war that we don't know about.
Exactly. Well, it's not only that, you know. I'm sorry, but what are refugees normally like when they get to a place that they're fleeing from? They get to a safe country. What are real refugees like? Compassionate, loving, grateful, you know,
thankful to be alive. I would imagine.
Yeah. What have we got here? We've got arseholes. That are pointing at us, clapping at us, you know, and they're going out and they're raping our children, and they're sexually assaulting our children, and they're raping our women. I'm sorry. This bollocks where the people come out and say, "Oh yes, but look at our own country, what we've got," and you go, "Yeah. We've got that already here." Why the fuck, in their own mind, I don't get it. Why on earth would you even risk bringing anyone into this country that might do harm to one person? Why? I've got 2 daughters. That's like me inviting anybody off the street into my house and saying, There you go, there's a bed, I'll feed you, I'll clothe you, I'll fucking give you a phone, I'll give you your fucking pocket money. Oh, difference in how you treat women? Not a fucking problem. We trust you to do the right thing. 2 weeks later, look at what's happened. Look at what's happened in Nuneaton. Look at that other one that's just gone quiet now, that young girl that nearly got kidnapped. You know?
So what was the tipping point for you to get involved with the the hotel protests? What was it where you were like, no, I'm attending this?
You know, it's that
Or was it just being a parent?
It's that cliched story. It's that cliched story that I wasn't political before. I wasn't political before. I was sort of, I was centre of right, you know, that's the way, you know, if you can go a bit further than conservative right, but that was me, you know, that sort of thing, you know.
I think the Overton window around the whole of that has changed now, hasn't it?
Oh my God, let's not go down that road. But yeah, it has, especially with Corbyn and his new loony fucking party. But I wasn't political at all. But when, I've got to say this actually, this is really fucking important.
Say what you need
BBC,
to say.
you're a bunch of fucking cunts. I tell you why, yeah? Up until 3 years ago, yeah, when GB News started, I think GB News has been going 4 years now.
I think so.
Up until about 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, I thought I was far fucking right. I'm not lying. Remember, black wife,
Oh yeah.
yellow wife now, you know?
Right.
I can show the picture, you know, me and my wife laugh at it, you know.
I just
But
laughing at the terminology.
But anyway, yeah, but it's true though. It's true though. You know, she's Asian, you know. So, where they can't come that with me.
No. So they can't call you a racist far right thug.
No.
So why? How does this link to the BBC exactly?
Because I'd listen to the rhetoric that they pump out all the time. Yeah, and I just keep, because nobody mainstream is doing what's actually fucking going on in the country. No one is doing it mainstream. So I'm just hearing these little bits. And what the BBC were pumping out, remember, black wife, fucking Asian wife now. I'm thinking, I turned, no word of a lie, I turned GB News on one day, yeah? And I had to turn it off because I thought, I can't listen to that. Listen to what they're fucking saying. Listen to what they're saying. And then I was going, that's what I'm fucking saying in my head. That's not right. That's not fucking right. And then and now, the minute I get up to the minute I go to sleep, you know, it's either on or whatever, you know, I'm not necessarily watching it, but it's on in the background, you know.
I think they came out either this week or last week saying their figures are now higher than the BBC and Sky combined.
Which isn't a surprise. But that, if you look at what I'm about to say, is all sort of like endemic of where I think the country is going.
No, that was the next part of the question. So
whether I might easily lead in it because
nice little
segue.
segue.
Because I've come from an ex-military guy that's going through absolute fucking hell with post-traumatic stress. I'm trying to get my fucking life in order, you know. I've got a fucking good chance of the wife walking out me, yeah. But I've got this going on up the road, and I've got 2 daughters. My youngest daughter goes to Sewell Park, you know. She's 14 years old. She wants to fuck around and play. Do you know what I mean? She wants to
All
have
kids
fun.
do. Of course they do.
You know, she wants to be a 14-year-old. You know, when I was a 14-year-old, fucking hell, you get kicked out the door, come back, I don't want to see you until
come
you're
back at
fucking,
dinner
do you know what I
time,
mean?
yeah.
Unless you're
Yeah.
covered in shit, broken bones or whatever, you know, that was it, and you were gone all day. You
Similar
know?
for me.
I want my children to have that freedom, you know, because I knew I couldn't have given them that freedom in London. That's why we got out of London. And I'm now, I've already had to say to them, when I saw the video of what happened in that, I tell you what did it, was the video I saw in Brook Park or whatever it was. I saw the video in Brook Park where the lads had chased off the guy, the kids off of there. Was it up by Brook Hotel? There's a park up there somewhere.
I think I know which one you mean.
I don't know the name of the actual park. I don't know where everybody is.
If I can find it, I'll attach it.
That was the video that did it for me. That brought it really home. I thought, hang about a minute. That's only up the fucking road.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
only
far.
up the road. I'd also been into Tesco a week before and bumped into 5 guys that it was more than obvious where they were from. And these are 5 guys.
How could you tell?
God almighty.
Come on,
Can you
someone's
tell the
going to raise
difference
that in the
between a
comments.
house and a fucking tree? It's that different. Right then, okay then. We know the demo. I've been living here 15 odd years, nearly
Okay.
20 years here. I know the demographic around here. You know, I'm in Tesco's. I don't know how many times a week. Yeah, when you see 5 black guys, yeah, that are. Look at the TV. They're dressed like the guys in the TV. You know, it's quite obvious they've come from wherever they are, wherever they're doing now. They're in it together.
Right.
Yeah, they're in it together, blah, 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 because they were buying together to go out, and I sat in the car and I watched them go off together. I'm not sure if this is a coincidence. You tell me. I walk my dogs across the way every single day, 2 or 3 times a day. And I'm coming back round, just walking in like that, and 5 guys walk past me, and it's more than obvious where they're fucking well from.
Right.
And I'm like, and I'm walking, and my girl, she doesn't like people. So I don't know if it's men or I don't know what it is, but she starts barking at people like that. And she started barking, and so I went, come on, went round the corner, and one of them, with his baseball cap, white fucking tracksuit outfit on, started shouting, "Hey mate, hey mate!" And I'm literally out, nearly walked out of the park. Mm-hmm. I'm literally out of the park. And because when I walked along, I didn't see where they were because they'd come out from some trees. So my dog was a little bit startled. That's why she, took it with them.
Okay.
And so she was sort of, looking at them, and they were all 5 of them, like just sort of, they weren't walking past like we're going for a nice walk down the park. No. That wasn't. I'm sorry, I've been in the army. I know when people are walking just past down the street, and I know when people are fucking just being dodgy as fuck.
Right.
You don't need the brains of an archbishop to work out, for crying out loud. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just fucking, it's plain and obvious. You could just tell the shoes they're wearing fucking flip-flops like they've just literally got off a fucking beach. Do you know what I mean? Look at you, mate.
Right.
You've literally just got out of one.
So you've just described a guy in a baseball cap, a white shell suit, wearing flip-flops in a park. Is that right?
One
of.
And there was another 4. There was another, because there was 5 of them. Another 4. Another one in grey, but it looked like a prison outfit.
Right.
It looked like a prison uniform. That's why I say it was white tracksuit, shell suit, but it was more like prison tracksuits rather than it wasn't anything flashy or anything like that. And another 2 guys, and the last 2 guys, I got a picture of them. Red, I don't know, scratchy old red t-shirt and some black, shitty fucking tracksuit bottoms or something like that, and whatever. And so anyway, he's shouting at me, going, "Hey mate, hey mate, hey mate." So I've turned around and said, "You talking to me?" He said, "Yeah." "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I fucking live here." "I'm sorry, mate. I've been walking across this fucking park for nearly 20 fucking years with my dogs. Don't ask me what I'm doing fucking here, mate. That's the first time it's ever happened. I said, "Well, I fucking live here. What are you fucking doing here?" "Ah, we're taking over." I said, "You fucking are not, mate." "Oh, we fucking are." With that, my dogs are going mental now.
Is that what he said to you, was it?
"Oh, yeah. Mate. We had an incident when we lost our flag. 3 weeks before, I spoke to the police. I spoke to a woman. The lady, she come from a military background. To cut a long story short, us losing our flag outside here, you know where I live. I don't know.
Yeah. We're not going to see.
You know how
video.
important that is there in this city. Yeah, to lose a flag like that, it was put down as a hate crime.
As it should have been.
3 weeks later, I get that over there. I rang the police up this time round. The first woman I spoke to, she came from a military background. Her dad was in the army, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Yeah, she was fuming about it. CID, not CID, the CSI guy, woman, she rang me not long after that. Then I had another policeman rang me. Then another policeman rang me to get some more details. Said, right, he's going to go and get some CCTV from the, it was like, it was like a full-on, like,
military operation.
I was like, fucking yes. I was like, well done, guys. Well done. Fucking well done, guys. Yeah. Fast forward 3 weeks' time. Yeah. Fast forward 3 weeks' time. I spoke to her. I've just explained what's going on there. And the woman said, yeah, but you shouted back, didn't you? I said, excuse me? He fucking shouted at me. He said, that was the other thing. She said, how do you know there was how do you know they were being, how do you know they were swearing and being aggressive at you? I said, well, they were stood there and they were screaming at me and shouting at me and pointing at me. And she said, what were they saying? I said, I have no idea what fucking hell they were saying. I don't speak their language. How am I supposed to? Then how do you know that they were swearing at you and being aggressive?
And that's what the police said.
And I said to her, I said, are you being for fucking real here? I said, are you being for fucking real? Well, it seems like you've shouted at them and but another. So I said, you're fucking joking me. I said, right, I'm going to hang up now. It's obvious you don't want anything to do with this, even though 3 weeks ago there's a hate crime being committed because we lost the fucking flag, But now, I honestly felt it was my fucking fault, yeah? So I put the phone down. 10 minutes later, I'm not fucking having this. So I've rung up. Luckily, I've got through to the woman again, same woman again. So I've explained my story. She said, oh, it was me you've spoken to. I said, okay then, what do I do now? I said, because in your intro, where it says, before I actually speak to you, it says if you've got any hate crime or you've got any, unthingy, whatever behaviour, please report
antisocial
it.
behaviour.
Antisocial behaviour. I said, there you go. I said, it says, any other. I said, I would like to report antisocial behaviour. She said, what for? I said, well, what I've just told you. Yeah, but you shouted at them as well, and you don't know what they said. I said, look, I don't go to university for 3 fucking years to become a counsellor. To have you tell me that I don't know when 5 guys have stood in front of me, shouting, screaming and pointing at me, that they're being anti-fucking social. What is the definition of antisocial then? Fine, fuck you. I put the phone down. 10 minutes later, I'm fucking not having this. Honest to God, no word of a lie. I've rung her up. I didn't get her this time. I said, right, you're not going to help me, so fuck you. And I've got the woman's number. If you want the woman's number, I'm more than happy to go and get the number. I've got the fucking, or ask, if I've not got it, Sydney's definitely got it. She's definitely got the number. But, so the third time I rang up, I said, right then. I said, you're not going to help me? No fucking problem, yeah? I am now going across that park with my 2 fucking dogs, and when I see these fuckers, I'm going to let my dogs off and I'm going to let them fucking attack these people. You can't do that, sir. No. I said, no. Fucking come and find me. Come and fucking find me, because this is what's fucking happening right fucking now. So I fucked off from there and I went all round. Because when it actually first happened, I came running back here, grabbed my fucking fridge of a fucking mate and his German Shepherd, and we've gone running off after them. And we've thought, well, hang about a minute, what happens if we do get hold of these guys? Well, I know what's probably going to happen. No, let's reel it fucking back here. I said, no, mate, 180, let's get back here. I'll get on the blur to the old fucking bill. 1 phone call, 2 phone call, fuck you. 3rd time, and that was it. I took the dogs over there and I just went hunting. I was fuming. I put that online to something, online. What happened? There's a guy that lives, because I live this side of he lives the other side of the heath, yeah? He has seen 5 guys hanging around the heath that look fucking dodgy. I'm sorry. If it looks like a piece of shit and it smells like a piece of shit, it's not a fucking aircraft, is it?
Well, let's hope not. So just to carry on from there a little bit, obviously you've been at the protest at the Migrant Hotel, you've had your experiences. Were you joining in the chants about Keir Starmer?
Absolutely.
And what chant was that?
Keir Starmer is a a complete wanker.
Is that the chant or your message to him?
Oh, you want the chant as well?
If the-
Keir
it's up to you.
Starmer's a wanker. Keir Starmer's a... Yes, you got it, Starmy baby. You got it,
It's very
Starmy
catchy.
baby.
It's very catchy. So just to wrap up, because I've taken quite a significant amount of your time.
Can I just throw one more bit in though?
Yeah.
Do you mind?
No.
This is sort of, we were talking about, you know, which way the nation's going.
Yeah.
So I've never gone from. I've never entered a protest like that before.
Right.
No. Saw that video, so that was me. I got involved. Yeah. What's even more interesting is that, and I think this is, and I had a very, very good conversation with somebody the other day, which ties this up perfectly. I'm going down to London for the 13th of September.
Okay.
I am. Absolutely.
The United Kingdom march.
The United Kingdom march. Absolutely. And this person I know said, I'd love to go, but I don't agree with what actual Tommy wants and says and this, that and the other. He's got this warped idea, let's not go down this road. But
Just
anyway,
for the record, Tommy Robinson.
Tommy Robinson.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else fucking hell?
Someone somewhere will not know who Tommy is. So I just want to clarify for the video. Someone somewhere is probably living under a rock and doesn't know. So you're going on the 13th.
And I'm sorry, I'm just flabbergasted.
Yeah, there'll be someone.
Tommy Robinson.
There'll be someone.
Really? You never heard of him? And you're on a podcast? You're watching a podcast? You've never heard of Tommy? Anyway, that's another story. So he said to me, he said, I don't agree with what I said, look, I said, whether you agree with what Tommy's ideas are or not is absolutely irrelevant. I said, because what this is now, this is a show of force. This has gone beyond Tommy in my eyes. This is now the country, or lots and lots of normal people, if you want to call it that, you know, me, you know, far right Nazi that I am, you know, ex-military to fucking, anyway, for me, it's, you know, there's this swell that is coming now. And that's what I said, look, whether you agree with him or not, I said, get to London, you know, that extra person there, you know, is, you know, the more people. You might not think it's going to make any difference. Believe you me, it's going to make a difference.
Can't be ignored.
You know, we've got to keep going on this. We've got to keep going on this. It's a shame. I don't know how we can get an early general election, because something needs to happen, because...
Well, we're recording this on the 12th of August, 2025. The online petition for an early general election, when I checked it this morning, was 566,000 people, which is just over 500,000.
How many people are thinking of going on London on that day? I think they're talking about 500,000 there as well.
The march can't be ignored. The petition can't be ignored, because I think it has to reach 300,000 to be discussed in Parliament, and you've got over 500,000. Says a lot, really. I don't think people are happy with what Labour have done.
This was interesting, because now I'm getting quite involved in what's going on now, and I'd like to read into the figures of what's coming and this, that and the other, and again, and you know, my life's opened since this protest stuff. My life is just, you know, the online world has sort of really opened up for me, even though I did a degree in computers and networking and stuff like that. But now, you know, this is all sort of, you know, a new thing, and so I've never used ChatGPT until a few weeks ago, and I've been using it to get information, because you just ask it fucks off and goes and gets it, it comes back. So I went and asked it to go and get some information on, you know, blah blah blah, how many have come in today, whatever, this, that and the other, blah blah blah. Came back, you know, said, can't give you that information. So I'm like, no way. So I've taken pictures, screenshots. It's happened. The online safety bill has happened. So I asked you, I said, why can't you give me that? Because I'm not allowed to tell you about this, that and the other. I said, no problem at all. What did I do the same as millions of other people did straight away. And I'm going to tell you this, Starmer, yeah, or whoever it is, yeah, I'm going to give it to my wife, and I'm going to give it to my daughters as well, so you can't fucking keep us fucking quiet. VPNs. The first thing I did, went and got a 2-year subscription for a VPN. I rerouted everything through America, got all the answers I wanted straight away, you know?
Funny how that works.
Yeah, it's strange, you know? What the fuck are you doing? You think we're that stupid. Why are you trying to do something that you have no idea what you're doing?
Well, they originally said it was to protect kids from porn. And all of a sudden, within 12 hours, because it was on X, Grok was saying they were blocking information about migrants, two-tier justice, and anything to do with protests. That's
Why?
not protecting kids.
Why? Because they turned around and said, these are the fines that you're going to fucking get. So all of them fucking online, they went, we're not having any of those fines, so we're just going to, because what, I'm sorry, it doesn't take the brains of an archbishop to work out, if you're going to say that to them, they're going to do that. You can't say to us, this is what I want.
Do you
and
not
then
think
you put
it's
that
ironic,
forward.
just to interject slightly, do you not think it's ironic that Keir Starmer said he wants to give the votes to, 16-year-olds, but is preventing 16-year-olds seeing vital information that will help them decide which way to vote?
Exactly.
It just seems a bit suspicious to me personally.
Exactly, and I'd like to throw something in there as well.
Feel free.
With my 14-year-old daughter, yeah. This surprised me. I spoke to her, blah, 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 and I was talking about reform and this, that, and the other. And out of nowhere, she turned around and said, "Yeah, I love Nigel Farage." I went, "Really?" Because I keep hearing Nigel Farage saying
popular on TikTok.
they've got the younger generation. He's got the younger generation. I thought, well, this is my opportunity to see how he's got the younger generation nowadays. So I've had this conversation with my daughter. I said, what do you know? This, and the other, blah, blah, blah. I said, so what do you think about his policies? This, and the other? Absolutely. We've got to do this. My daughter, there was something on TV. I can't remember whatever it was on TV. There was something or another, and it was a migrant that had done something, and it was on national news, and it had found its way onto TikTok or whatever like that. And my daughter had found herself in this thread.
Right.
That was there. She said to me, not one person, and there was hundreds of kids in this thread. Not one kid was against getting this person out of the country and away. You know, you look at kids like that, it's black or white, isn't it, with kids? There's not a lot of grey with kids.
There isn't.
Do you know what I
No,
mean?
there isn't.
You know, and my daughter, she's a typical foot, and she'll tell you that. So, yeah, you knock yourself out, Starmer, because Nigel's got that one sewn up.
And I think that's a good place to wrap up. Thank you.